here's another protest, unfortunately, this time in Greece. But the particulars of the protest are completely different compared to the previous story developing on Peru. So here in Greece, these protests are in response to a 16-year-old Romani boy who was shot and killed by police. It's been reported that he was shot after reportedly driving from a service station without paying for 20 euros of petrol. So for those of you who aren't familiar, the Romani people are an ethnic minority within Greece and within Europe, and are also have considerable populations in North America as well as in Western and South Asia as well. So within Europe, particularly, the Romanis have a history of being marginalized and discriminated against, and they're a ethnic community that is in some ways still marginalized today. So following the death of this teenager who was shot and killed by the police, protests understandably, anger understandably developed, and protests have ensued. Unfortunately, in this case as well, it seems like the protests have turned violent to an extent. I stand corrected. It says here that his funeral is scheduled for Thursday. And there have been two main cities that the protests are currently happening within, and that's Athens, the capital, I believe, and also the city of Thessaloniki, where the teenager lived and was unfortunately killed. Now, police have said, police in Thessaloniki said that about 50 people emerged from a university campus on Tuesday and threw several Molotov cocktails at the riot police unit. But fortunately, no injuries have been reported. So the protests are turning violent in this case. However, it doesn't look like it's escalating out of control, and leaders within the Romani community are calling for calm following the second day of protests, and are encouraging people to go home, or at the very least to protest peacefully, which they should do, because this sort of violent civil response is not going to address the situation adequately. Now, I do think that the police officer that shot the teenager should be investigated and brought to trial and convicted, if found guilty. But it looks like the teenager was driving off, and the police officer shot and killed him for not paying for 20 euros. Certainly, that sort of stealing petrol does not merit an execution such as that. So, in my view, I do think that the police officer should be investigated and indicted criminally and convicted if the facts of the case reflect that the officer unjustly used use of force, and the boy was in fact just running away unarmed. So unfortunately, you have instances of police brutality all across the world, but often at less rates than in places such as the US. If you want to stay updated on breaking news around the world, please consider liking and subscribing. Thank you.